Vaportrail's obviously, listen, we're a speed training facility. You know, we train athletes, but the culture that we have developed in there is honestly, it's not a metaphor or just a word. It's a family atmosphere.
All right, it's good to see you here today on the Speak Hope Now podcast. I have a very special guest with me. His name is Thomas Hughes, and he's a coach, but his story goes beyond just being a coach. And he's influenced many people. His family has even influenced many people in our region and our communities. And so I love having Coach Hughes be a part of this podcast. And I just want to kind of let you hear from him and allow him to share his heart with you here today when it comes to athletic training, when it comes to life in general. I think you're going to get a lot from Thomas Hughes here today. And I'm just going to turn it over to him and let him share from his heart about his life, his business, and his upbringing, and the influence and the impact he has on our community. Coach?
Hey, I really appreciate you having us.
Oh, it is a joy to have you here.
Yeah. It's really nice to be asked about your business or what you do or your lifestyle and some of those things that you do. Oftentimes you might not think or know how relevant, you know, the things that you're doing for other people is. And we really appreciate being here. And when I say we, I'm talking about the Vaportrail family that we have the business of. And I usually speak in that term when I talk about my business because it is a family and it is an influence from people like yourself and others that we build this thing called Vaportrail 24/7.
So how do you find Vaportrail? How do you get a part of this family or be a part of this family and get the training from you personally?
Yeah. Well, we're on all the social medias, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can also find us if you Google us. A lot of our information also goes through word of mouth. But we have all those bases covered, the main ones, to be able to get hold of us. And we really don't have a problem in that area. We're pretty open to the public.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, you've been very influential in my family. My two boys received training from you. You took our eldest son to New York, and you just had a trip up there to New York just this weekend.
Yeah, I just got back from New York yesterday. We went to a different place, though. The place we took you, your son, was the Armory.
Okay.
That's an old building that was built, I think it was after World War I.
Wow.
Where they would have the tanks and all the armory that they needed for the war, and would just load them right on the boats right there on the the Hudson River. And then eventually they turned that into this track and field mecca. But the place I was at yesterday is called Ocean Breeze. That's in Staten Island.
Wow.
And it's this it's this ridiculous, beautiful place for track and field that was built by the Parks and Recreation.
Wow.
And I think the bill was supposed to be a $40 million bill and turned out to be an $89 million bill.
Wow.
And it's an unbelievable place. And we were fortunate to take some kids from Bloomsburg High School track and also some of my kids from Vaportrail to that.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a huge thing for those students to be a part of. I know even though my son didn't do what he wanted to do there in that competition, I'm sure other kids are inspired, and man, it just drives them in a deeper, practice and understanding of what's out there.
Right. And the main thing that we're trying to do, obviously you want to perform well and you want things to go right. But honestly, what we're doing is we're taking kids from this area basically to the inner city, learning about how other programs and how other athletes handle certain situations. And I really like putting my kids in more, less comfortable spots to watch them overcome. So the goal oftentimes is not how fast you are, how far you jump, how far you throw. It's how did you deal with the uncomfortable situation? even the parents, how did you navigate getting to New York City,
Right.
getting out of the car, walking to the facility,
Yeah.
and then having to walk back to your car where, the stereotype, it's not safe, but it is. However, the parents aren't in their comfort zone either.
Right.
So, my rule of thumb is that as a family, you navigated this uncomfortable situation, then went and ran. Now, later in the year, there's no situations that really should be intimidating for you because you've been to the quote unquote Mecca or the top of, indoor track and field or outdoor track and field. Mm-hmm. So it allows you to perform a lot better when you come back to Berwick, Bloomsburg, and you're looking at kids differently now because you've been seasoned to beat them.
Right. And that's powerful. That has to be extremely impactful.
Yes.
And I know it was for our family when you took us out there. And so that's an incredible thing that you're providing for our community, and it's needed.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it is because it's, Vaportrail's obviously, listen, we're a speed training facility. We train athletes, but the culture that we have developed in there is honestly, it's not a metaphor or just a word. It's a family atmosphere, and it's for a full rounded development. Now, I'm not raising your kid. I'm not doing these other things. However, we're giving people a soft place to land to become great, dream about being great. And it's not just in athletics. It's in all walks of life.
And so I'm sure your credentials has led you to this place where you now have this desire to pass on what you've learned,
right?
What you were brought up with, to this next generation.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about your life story. How did you get involved in sports?
Yeah.
Who were your inspirations? I mean, you have a background in track. So
yeah.
You were really incredible in track.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Talk to us about that upbringing. Talk to us about, how you got to this place where now you're inspiring young people.
Yeah. It's funny because a lot of people ask me, how did we end up in Bloomsburg? And oftentimes it's African-American people that aren't from the area. And they're like, how'd you get here? Yeah. And the story is that my father was an outstanding football player, for Williamsport High School, was recruited by a lot of schools, but he was a real humble guy and really didn't want to go to college and hid all his recruiting letters. And my aunt and my uncle, my dad's brother-in-law, raised him.
Wow.
While they were raising him, my dad's getting these letters from Pitt, Penn State, Arizona State, Illinois, and hiding them.
Huh.
So Bloomsburg University calls on the phone. My uncle answers the phone. He says, well, I didn't even know anybody was interested in my nephew. They're like, what do you mean? So being old school that my uncle was, one day it was told to me that the car was packed and my dad got home from his summer job, put him in the car and dropped him off and said, by the way, you're going to college here. See ya.
Wow.
And it kind of played out like that. And then my dad had a very successful career at Bloomsburg in football and wrestling.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What position did he play in football?
He played offensive tackle. The irony is that he was the second fastest guy on the football team. My uncle Jim was the fastest guy on the team. He was a running back, and my dad was a pretty imposing figure on the field. Blessed with speed and talent, and so.
So you got some really of that good from them.
I guess. Yeah. I mean, I guess I got a lot from him.
Talk about your high school experience and your college experience.
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate. I had good people around me, and to be honest with you, my mom was probably more of a motivator than my father was, and I had a lot of success based on wanting to make them happy and being in a unique situation where I'm one of two minorities that's going to the school. I felt that my definition of who I was or what I was going to take care of was through athletics. So I set a high bar. I was fortunate to be the first state champion in the history of our school in any sport. And then I was a high school All-American in track and field. I did well in football, and I enjoyed playing basketball. I wasn't that good, but I really enjoyed playing it. Things worked out. And then, I ended up going to Susquehanna University.
Okay.
I had Division I offers, but coach named Jim Taylor, which is a legend. He's a legendary track and field coach, recruited me, and it was the best decision that I ever made because Coach Taylor's like my father now. I mean, I visit him probably once a month, lives in Selinsgrove, and he was just one of those people as you know, a white man really understood my plight and what I was going through because I don't know how many people are aware of Susquehanna University. Susquehanna University is a pretty affluent school. And then here comes this kid, you know, that comes through the program that's doing well. But, you know, when I was away from the field of competition or the track, you know, it was a tough adjustment for me. And Coach Taylor really helped me with that.
Wow.
With that part of it, letting me know that, you know, just because people are different, it doesn't mean that they're against you or anything like that. You really have to work harder, Tom, to become part of the community.
Well, I can't imagine what your dad and your uncle had to face back then, especially you know, making the choice to come to Bloomsburg.
Right.
Not saying that racism is birthed in our area, but there was a lot of racism then.
Yeah.
There was a lot of racism in your time period.
Yeah.
And it seemed like it was becoming worse all through those years instead of improving.
You know, some of the issues that my dad, you know, had at Bloomsburg University wasn't always overt. You know, it's not like somebody, and with my situation too, it's not that people come up to you and say things that you don't want to hear. It's not like somebody says to you, hey, you can't shop here or anything like that. And when I discuss racism, I know it's a taboo word and it really puts a lot of people in a defensive posture. Mm-hmm. And that's not what I really want to do with that because honestly, racism is not illegal. The behavior behind it is. So meaning this, and I speak to schools and things of that nature. If I'll take any person that's white would go and their parents move and they go to an all black school or it's 50-50 black and white coming out of the cafeteria with your cafeteria tray, group of white kids, group of black kids, where are you going to sit? Mm-hmm. Now people will say stuff to try to make it better, but you're going to go where you're comfortable.
Right.
And that's a decision made upon race. Mm-hmm. So that's a racist decision. You're not going to jail for that. Right. And you're not a bad person for that. But when you're in a position of authority, then it becomes an issue. So if a police officer or if a teacher or if anybody's making the decision based like that, right. Now, because of the laws that are in place, now it's a problem and it's an issue. So that's one of the main things that I really try to get across is that my plight, my parents' plight was not, hey, we're sitting in the room wondering who's going to come get us. It was more like, okay, we're going to go about our day. I may or may not run into this. Mm-hmm. So therefore, you're always in that defensive posture, which is very tiring. And that's what it was like for my dad in college. That's what it was like for me in high school. Listen, great people, great friends. I still live here, so it couldn't be that bad. It's just you're in a posture of waiting for the other shoe to drop. Right. And that could be paranoia, and that could be my problem and not anybody else's problem. I'm just saying it gets tiring after a while, so it's not something that I blame somebody for.
Yeah, I take a look at, the words of Jesus in Scripture. He says about those that are in poverty that the poor will always be with us. Yeah. And I've tend to gone down the path of thinking those who are ignorant will always be with us. And so I think it's a powerful point that you make, and looking beyond, surrounding yourself with good people like your college coach. Right. He was a good person that you surrounded yourself with. You were grounded and you were able to move past some of those, hurdles and issues that others were causing. Yeah. And the thing is a lot of people are, again, it's such a taboo thing to talk about because, and I don't blame people,
of being nervous to talk about it because there's so much collateral damage. If you're labeled as a racist, I mean, a whole lot of things can go bad. So why would I even want to discuss it? But just to put you in my world or somebody else's world, the thing that made this coach a good guy to me is because he asked questions. So he wasn't scared to ask questions. And I use this example. I'm waiting in the line at Walmart to buy something, and there's a little kid just keeps looking at me. And I know what he's thinking. How come you look like you do? I know that.
Yeah.
And then finally the kid will say, why are you brown? And I'll say, because my mom and dad were. And the kid's like, oh, adults will look at me the same way and never ask the question. I'm making it real simple, but what that is that question gives you a common ground and a freedom to have that dialogue of what you're thinking. You know, like my son in New York City asked the guy, why are you in a wheelchair? As a parent, I'm mortified when really I shouldn't have been mortified.
Right.
He's just asking the question he wants to ask. So a lot of times it gets to be that simple, but the culture makes us really nervous about that.
Right. And you're being a disruptor in our culture.
Yeah.
You're trying to go down that path of influencing others and bridging our community together.
Yeah.
And I know it's not just you. I know Boosie Simmons is a part of that. And there's others in our community as well that are trying to bridge that gap, bring awareness, help others work through the ignorance that's really out there. And in my counseling practice, I've counseled a lot of African Americans who have faced severe racism today. You're not talking about 20, 30, 50 years ago. Today, they're facing it in the professional world, and it's very difficult. And again, I'm so thankful that you're a disruptor, that you're going down this path of bringing awareness and helping. Talk to me a little bit how you mentioned schools, but I believe also you're dealing with individuals. You're dealing with students on a day-to-day basis.
Through my coaching, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, as far as coaching at Bloomsburg, yes. And then also with my business, I have individual people. And I'm a firm believer that my day-to-day behavior, my day-to-day, the way I conduct myself as a coach, the way I'm asking questions like I want to ask of me, the way I try to make it special for female athletes, to not just have a male culture. Those are some of the things that I'm trying to get my point across as far as, hey, let's relax here. First of all, I'm not going to be able to coach anybody to greatness unless we have a good relationship. It ain't happening.
Right.
So I have a lot of hats that I have to wear, you know, where certain people of certain cultures or certain backgrounds walk into my gym and, you know, think a certain way or act a certain way, including myself. And we have to bridge that gap, or we're not going to have success.
Right. And you're pouring into that next generation. You're really helping them in a lot of different areas, not just athletics, but you're helping them with their mental health.
Right.
You're helping them work through a lot of these struggles and issues. And I think you've shared with me, without dropping names, you've shared with me some high profile athletes that are at the collegiate level now that you had to work through when it comes to overcoming these thoughts of racism in the community. Right. And it really helped them to be grounded and stay focused on their goals of reaching their aspirations at the next level. Yeah.
There's people that walk the path that I walked, you know, that you're watching now. And it gets to be lonely. It gets to be I don't care how successful you are, it gets to be this lonely path sometimes. And it's just, again, sit and ask questions. Hey, how's things going?
Right.
You know how it is. Oh, everything's great. And you know,
it's not.
Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Let's, I don't really subscribe to what you're saying right now, but you're trying to get it from another angle. I'm not going to pressure you into that. I just know I feel a certain way about what's going on. And we're not just talking about African Americans. I've had kids from China, straight from China. I've had, you know, again, females. I've had Latin kids. I've had white kids that have felt the same plight in other situations. And it's really, to me, it's important to address those things. You're missing the boat if you're a coach and you're not going all in. Right. So, yeah.
You want to have the right things in your rear view mirror and not right in front of your face.
Right. Right.
And so it's important, that they have that perspective, and you're such an ideal person to go down that path to share with them because of your success.
Yeah.
Even though it's been hard,
right.
You've been able to overcome and have a level of success.
Yeah. Yeah. And reach out and grow. We've been fortunate to grow in my business and work on having a national brand, which we pretty much have a national brand now.
Talking about that national brand? Do you feel comfortable unpacking that there? What you've mentioned to me privately that you've gone down this path of having some franchises.
Yeah. So a lot of ideas have come up to me since I started the business. They weren't on my own. My wife helped me a lot with ideas. My brother-in-law, her brother, is a very successful senior vice president for JMA Wireless. They work hand in hand with the NFL and all the stadiums. Put in bandwidth where you can use your cell phone, you can order your food. He gives you that capability. He's at the Super Bowl right now setting up.
Unbelievable.
Last year, SoFi Stadium, where the Super Bowl was the equivalent to 100 cell phone towers in the stadium.
Oh my goodness.
So that's what he does. So he's in my world and I'm in his world. It didn't start like that. He was an IT guy.
Wow.
And then now our worlds collide. So his conversations with people parallel mine. Now he'll be picking up the phone. Hey, I got this guy for dinner. I'm going to meet. Do you know him? Yep. Now he gets this information from me. Now his conversation's a lot better. So he has helped me grow my business from a business perspective, and also where he has networked me to other people.
Nice.
Meaning one of them was Kobe Bryant's gym in LA, Thousand Oaks. We went out there for that. Then I branched off into it's called the Nike opening. That's where the top 200, 300 players come. We've been to the Adidas All-American game in partner with them. Also the Under Armour All-American game. So what I made a conscious effort was to make myself seen nationally. So I'm on the sidelines for these games and this, that, and the other thing. And you can't help but bump shoulders with certain people. We've had the top athletes that you see playing on Saturday and on national TV. And that was just one step. But we took it further to where we wanted to be a national brand amongst all age groups and females, males. So we're working on that. I have a meeting coming up the end of the month with the Philadelphia Union soccer team.
Oh, wow.
Professional soccer team that's, like the best in the league. So I kind of refuse not to be known nationally. And it's a lot of fun. If I knew sports or if I knew business was so much like sports, I would have done it a lot earlier. But we're doing well. We're having a good time. And our franchises are based upon negative things that happen to us.
Okay.
Meaning that, so oftentimes coaches don't want me doing what I do. They're like, don't go to him. I got you, which I get it. We totally get it. But we took that model of negativity and we turned it around to where we said, okay, well, if you don't want us to do such and such and such, coach, and you're normally a teacher or somebody that will take a part-time job in the summer, why not just get trained by us? You run the Vaportrail. You have no overhead because you have all the facilities. You have the boosters, money, and you have the athletes. You have the clients. Just plug in. And they say, well, why would I go with you? I'll just do it on my own. Well, yeah, but you don't have the Vaportrail family where you can say, well, hey, that kid on TV, that's a Vaportrail kid. I'm associated. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it gives them a more national look to come on board. So we turn negatives into positives for us. So we have Jacksonville, Virginia, California. I'm trying to think of the other ones, but we have them around where people are doing these things, and,
Nice.
and it's really helpful to us.
Nice. And you do that in person mostly, right?
As far as,
But you can also coach virtually.
yeah, I do have so I'm here doing my trainings, unless we're trying to get a relationship with Loyola High School in LA.
Okay.
But most of the things I'll do in person, but I do have a virtual online training.
Nice.
And that works well too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming here, Coach.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
We really love having you, and we would love to invite you on more.
Yeah.
And I just want to share with our audience that, if you want to get in touch with Coach Hughes, he shared at the beginning of this podcast some different platforms that you could reach him on. And I would encourage you to have a real conversation with your son or daughter and really tap into what they're wanting to do athletically. And I'm confident that if you get them connected with Coach Hughes, he's not only going to help them with their athletics, he's obviously going to help them with a lot more when it comes to their mental health and when it comes to life in general, helping them to overcome those hurdles and obstacles that they might face in those areas of life. So thank you for watching Speak Hope Now. And we look forward to seeing you more as we share more podcasts with you in the future.